Hey, I'm Duckman here. Welcome to another episode of Duckman TV. So here's one that's for the new people, really, or younger people. I'd say new people, younger people, because I'm in my 40s now. Feel quite old sitting here chatting Lachie Gordon about the good old stuff. And what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about he's in the world of gaming. So he's in Rocket League. Lachie, thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's all right. So tell me a little bit about the world of professional gaming, Rocket League. What is it? How did you get involved in it? And it just intrigues me, the whole thing.
Well, basically, Rock League, to sum it up, it's basically soccer or football with cars. So as a kid, I was very into soccer.
Yeah.
Played goalkeeper for my whole time when I played soccer, and then just got me into, playing games like FIFA and stuff. And then this new game came out, and it was everything I liked. You got your cars, and you got your soccer, and you got your goals. So just put everything I liked into one. So then it's got me into it, and then I put a lot of time into it and just started playing it a lot, and started competing when I got old enough, and just kicked off from there.
So how long ago did you start getting involved in gaming? Obviously, like when I was a kid, I started getting into all these soccer games. Before they had the internet to hook up and play people online, I was doing it probably like 8, 9, 10, something like that, starting to get into it.
Yeah, from a very young age, just like playing games like, you simple games like Plants vs Zombies and like Call of Duties and stuff like that from, maybe like 5 or 6, something like that, usually with my dad.
Yeah.
And as I got a little bit older and got, some of my own consoles and stuff like that and playing the games that was more intriguing to me, it just all kicked off from there, I'd say.
Yeah. So you obviously kicked on. How old are you now?
I'm 17, about to be 18.
Yeah. So when did it start? When did you realise I'm good at this? I can get it right, because obviously I've got 2 sons. So one turns 20 next month. One turned 23 yesterday, and they're telling me, I got these gamers. I watch them online and watch them do all this stuff. They can make millions of dollars a year and stuff like that. So I just think surely that's not happening, but I know it does. So.
It doesn't happen for everyone, obviously. But for me, I'd say probably around 15 when I first started competing, because you have to be, for Rocket League at least, you have to be 15 years old.
Yeah.
So when I hit that, and then I got instantly, one of the best results you can get. And then not too long later, I ended up making my first international, and that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, I am really good at this.
Yeah.
And you see a bit of the money and all that sort of stuff come through, and you're like, okay, it's just pretty serious.
So how big is it? So like what, there's 7 billion people out over in the world. How many people are like in this competitive world?
Well, in the gaming industry, it's broken down as like an esports. There's like tier 1, 2, and 3, and the tier 1's like your big, like multi, like billion-dollar games, like your Fortnite, your League of Legends, like your really big ones. Rocket League's just like on the cusp of that, so it's like a top tier 2.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money in it, but it's still nowhere near as like some of the really big ones.
Yeah. So it's just it's hard to believe. So I can only imagine how that would have gone when you were sitting in school. So how long you been at like an international level now doing this? So I'm pretty sure that conversation would have been interesting having with a careers advisor, telling you what you should plan for the future and stuff.
It wasn't great, because I had all my exams and stuff I had to get done, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to be here for them, I'm going to be overseas, and they're like, oh, what for? And you have to keep giving them the rundown. It was like every 3 months, and they're like, surely this guy's just lying to us at this point, But yeah, they became pretty accepting, because it became like a very consistent thing. So
yeah. So did that kind of nullify computer studies? No, we had to do all this stuff at school. The nerdy teachers from metalwork and that were running computer studies back in the day. Try to get any teachers go, we'll give you some tips you can take forward for this sort of stuff, or?
Not really. You always got your teachers that jokingly give you some pointers here and there, just about their experience and stuff like that. But no one was being anything too serious, because most of them didn't really understand what it was like yet. So they still don't. So yeah.
So how did you go from just being like a normal kid? And there's lots of people out there that are into gaming and stuff like that, all sorts of levels. I've got mates now that play online stuff on their phones and stuff. They're spending out of their own pocket like probably $500 a week on extra stuff, and just like, what for? So like add-ons and all this stuff you can buy to make the game better or make it function better for you. when did you know, so about 15 when you started to get to a good level, like, oh, I'm good at this, and then how did you get into the international level? How did that go from just doing it in your house to get that next level?
I feel like for me and a lot of other, because Rock League, if you want to have like a really big, a longevity-based career, like a long career, it comes down to starting at, a young age. You can't get in at like, 19, 20, because most people cap out at like 23, 24 in Rocket League.
Yeah.
So starting at a very young age is very good because you've got all those years in you. So when I started in, 15, I made my first, international event. I've not missed one since.
Yeah.
That's probably been the indicator for me that, okay, I'm at that international level now. Now it's just whether I can win there and, take it to the next level.
So if you look at international level, like the Olympics, you got people represent Australia, New Zealand, England, Scotland, whatever, Afghanistan. Is it like that, or are people like more individualised, like tennis, where they're competing for themselves, or are they a bit corporate? You're tied in with corporations and stuff like that.
So to sum it out in the season, there's 3 majors a season, 3 international events, then your Worlds, which is also an international event. Each major is like 16 teams, so you get 5 from North America, like your top 5 for that split. So there's 3 regionals, the top 5 teams from that split, which is those 3 combined, and the top 5 from Europe, the top 2 from South America, top 2 from here, 1 from Asia and 1 from the Middle East. That's 16 teams all go, and then they play there each major. And then, your top 2 from OC, your top 8 from your top 3 from OC, your top 8 from NA, top 8 from EU all go to the Worlds one later on as well, which is the big one.
So are these like championships that are ongoing, similar to like what was having at APL? They've got rounds and a full competition and
it's all
builds up the points, or it's just like come off one-off tournaments and...
No, it is points based. So it's like with those regionals, there's 3 regionals each split before you go into like the first major. So it's like you got to get in our region, right? There's only 2 spots because less teams, it's a smaller region compared to like North America, Europe.
Yeah.
So what they do for this is us, it's similar for elsewhere, but for us, so your top 2 teams. So you need to average 2nd place or above in points for the split in order to make the major. Because there'll be 2 teams that go. So if you just fall under that, you'll be 3rd, and there'll be the 2 teams that go instead of you.
Yeah. So right. So that makes it hard. So how did the teams work out? So how did you end up getting in the team, and what's the team you're aligned with now? So I imagine there's a bit of a level of like football transfers and that you can move around different teams and stuff.
Well, for my first team, it was just a bunch of my mates that I talked to for a while, and we were all in a similar boat. We all just loved the game, and we were all 15, 14, and, we just turned old enough to compete, so we were like, might as well, just for a bit of fun. And then we sort of like beat everyone, and we were just like, how have we done this? And then, time went on, made all my lands with them, kept going. And then towards the start of this season, they decided, they were like, because we started having a bit of a downward trend, so, as transfers do, they made a transfer for me. So then I got on my new team now, which is better for me at the moment. But there's transfers going on all the time, especially in our region. It's very...
So what, so people are changing teams, so is that like money changing hands when you change from one team to another? You get sponsorship deals out of it and this sort of stuff?
How does it work? Usually it's from like org to org, so like organisation to organisation. So it's like, my old organisation I was with KCP, which is like Kansas City Pioneers. And then when I was going from that one to a new one, I went to a new team, and they were also a team that was under a new org, which was Ground Zero. So that's just basically me going from like, let's say like Chelsea to Manchester or something like that in football. It's like going from just one org to another. Well, I wasn't... Well, mainly because I kind of just got kicked on the low, and then I got a new team, and then started beating them all on my new team. So it was a little bit there, but it wasn't too much.
Yeah. So people are capping out at 23, like that's where you're max.
No, not everyone. It's like 20.
How old are the oldest guys that are competing in this? Are guys around my age, around 45 and that are still racking it out, or not really?
Nah, definitely not. I think the oldest one competing internationally at these LAN events is probably 25, 26, 25. I think there's only 2 25-year-olds. Everyone else is 24 and below.
Yeah. So, and the youngest you can compete at the international level is like 15.
Yeah.
So that's, wow. That just blows my mind. you're done and dusted before you even become anything.
No, your prime is like where I'm at now, around like 16 to 18. That's like where
Yeah.
you usually. Well, if you've gotten into the pro scene early, that's where you're best at.
Yeah.
It usually takes about 2 years to settle in before you start really
Yeah.
kicking off.
So what can you do to prepare? What do you do to prepare for the game? So, like soccer, you go out to train and all that sort of stuff. So you must be challenging yourself all the time in different games, and doing all sorts of things to like make sure you're sharp enough and that. Though, like Mum just said before, you're up all night, sleep all day. Does that work all right?
I mean, it's similar in the sense you've got to put a lot of time and effort into, playing the game to make sure you're in, the best condition you can be.
Yeah.
A lot of mental, so like planning for your environment and stuff like that, training with your team as well to make sure when you go into your regionals to qualify for these lands, everyone's headspace is happy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just preparation, I'd say.
Yeah. So you have to do a lot of brand promotion and that stuff as well to get to that level. So when you're good, and you get good enough to get up that level, there would probably be other people up and around there. How did you go from just like being at home to getting to the next level? Because obviously it's not all just results. You got to be able to self-promote yourself as well. So within the whole gaming thing, and get more followers and support. I imagine that's going to help.
Yeah, well, I mainly use Twitter and I've started doing TikTok now, just to like start just promoting just like basic things, just like montage shots of what I score and stuff like that. So just basic things, but I mean to go like for professional wise, it's basically based on your results, right, and the team you get on. But if you want to have like a career outside of a pro, you obviously got to build your brand and stuff like that. So yeah.
So did you ever think you were going to get into professional gaming? So when you were playing soccer and that back in the day and at school before like this really come around, when did you think, oh, I'm going to give this a crack? Or did you just get to a level and went, oh wow, I'm here now, I'm going to give it a crack? Like, did you work towards trying to get into professional gaming?
I don't like to think I'm a cocky person. I think I'm a very confident person. So it's like when I really want to do something, I'll make sure I do it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I have like a really big passion for it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, I like put my head down to it 110% and just I'll always get it done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I did for this after my first, I've got like 7,000 hours in Rocket League right now, which is that's on the lower end. Some of the other guys have like 16,000, 17,000 who've been playing for like years and years. But I just a lot of.
Yeah. So how long do the games go for when you're playing them?
So each game's 5 minutes long. If your game's 1-all, 0-0, 2-all, it goes into an overtime, next golden goal basically.
Yeah.
That's just like the default game mode. If you're competing, it's usually a best of 5 or a best of 7. So it's first to win 3 games in a best of 5, first to win 4 in a best of 7.
Yeah. So like the NBA finals and that sort of stuff. So,
yeah, literally.
When you go through levels, when you get higher, just get against better competition who are doing this better. So
It's like any sport really. The further you go into like the bracket, let's say, it's the harder the competition's going to be, and then you'll realise when you play against them if you're up to that level, if you're just a level behind.
Yeah. So I know my stepson and my son tell me when they're playing games, they wear headsets and that stuff. So and they give it to the other people on the other end that they're playing with. You're just like, what are you doing? I realise the banter is massive as well. So you get into all that end of it as well, or you try to stay out of it.
I mean, it's the online world. There's always going to be a bit of banter, a bit of smack talk here and there. But I try my best to be responsible with it because I am building a bit of a brand, and there are a lot of players, just like younger people as well, like younger than me, and I'm only 17, who look up to me at LAN. So I don't want to set a bad example, but it is always a bit fun, especially when I was younger as well. I definitely dazzled a lot in that. Yeah.
So your mum's given us a little thingy to give some people a shout out. You want to give them a shout out?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Ground Zero, the org I play for. I'm actually wearing one of their hoodies now.
Yeah, there you go.
So shout out to Bo and Jai Richardson.
So anyone who's watching this and they want to get hold of any of this gear or follow you or anything, how do they do that?
If you want to follow me, it'd be Super Lachie _ on Twitter, or just Super Lachie on TikTok. And I think you can follow Ground Zero OC or Ground Zero Gaming on Twitter as well. If you want to get merch, I think what would they? I think the thing would be Ground Zero Gaming, Ground Zero OC on just YouTube or like, a web browser. And shout out my teammates as well. you know,
Yeah.
Kaka and Fiber, or Ezzy and Josh as well. Shout out to them.
Yeah. So, are you the youngest in your team, or like?
I am, yes.
All right. So, how old are the old guys in your team?
Um,
Up in their mid.
Josh is just turned 20 and Ezzy's just turned 18.
Yeah. So they've been in the whole world of international gaming a bit longer than you.
Well, they've been competing longer than me because they were older, but
Yeah.
they went to their first LAN event, a couple months ago with me when we made it, and
Yeah.
that was my sixth one. So I'm the more experienced player, but I'm the youngest one.
So just to paint that picture for everybody, where have you been? So you've been travelling around the world, been following you through your mum's stuff on
Yeah.
Facebook because
So
we're older than nerds. So
I started with I went to LA, and then I went to, I believe it was it was London, and then
Yeah.
I went to Texas, and I went to the Netherlands, and then San Diego, and then now I'm about to go off to Boston.
so that's massive. Where is the gaming big? Obviously, like if the competition's got 16 sides in it and 5 of them from North America, I imagine that competition's going to be strong.
The North American competition's like tenfold. It's not. It's like tenfold here, but then as of recent, the European competition's like tenfold that. So
Yeah.
it's like there are a lot of levels. Like we think we're levels ahead of the competition here, and then we get international where you get absolutely smashed. There's like so many more levels for us to reach as well.
Yeah. So, and that's obviously due to the number of people you get to compete against or not compete against and that sort
Yeah.
of stuff as well. So, to take it to another level again, are you likely to be able to or look at moving overseas when you get a bit older again, in early 20s or something? Is that like an ambition to take it higher and further?
Well, for me, it's
Build
always
your brand.
been, my ambition. The money's bigger in North America. The organisations are bigger. Everything's bigger. Like that's Europeans. The Europeans' gameplay seems to be stronger as of recent, but like just the sheer money that's in North America would be like the one you'd want to go to, and I've wanted to go there since the start, really, since I made my
Yeah.
first LAN event. So that's definitely like the end goal for me.
Yeah. So when you went to Europe, and what was the competition like compared to when you were in North America? Was it different? Was the way they played different, or have they got their own style, like the Australian sides? They got their own style compared to like what other people do in the world, similar to like other sports.
I mean, yes, slightly. I mean, I feel like European teams are slightly more team-based as
Yeah.
opposed to individual-based, but it's relatively similar. I think they're just better at the game. Your French people are just like, as a race, I don't know, they're just better than everyone, it seems. Like, in Rocket League, the French people dominate. Like, they are just crazy good. And it's just like, that's just them as a race. They're just good at everything, so...
Yeah. So from a professional point of view, like, what's the sort of money you can make when you get to these international professional levels playing at this, like get into, well, where are you ranked in the world too at the moment?
As a team, I don't know, we're probably ranked in the world somewhere around, at the moment, maybe 13th to 16th in the world.
That's pretty good.
It's alright. In here, we're number one,
Yeah.
but in the world, it's probably around, 13, 16, somewhere around there, I'd say.
Yeah. So, and could you make a career and living out of doing this as like a job?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what sort of money the absolute best guys make in the world doing
Oh,
this? And how do they generate, how does the money come about? So
I
it
mean,
comes through prize money and sponsorship?
there's
or-
prize money you get. There's more prize money in North America and Europe, which you get, but
Yeah.
most of your money comes from your salary, which you get from your org that you play for, because
Yeah.
orgs will pay you to represent them. That's why there's orgs in the scene.
Yeah.
So the orgs in North America, they pay very well, from what
Yeah.
I've heard.
So lots of brand endorsement stuff too, like
Yep.
you could tie in with big companies like, just throw it out, like I work for Super Logistics, like Seavers and Coca-Colas and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's like massive ones like NRG and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like NRG, not in Rocket League. NRG is in Rocket League, but there's like 100 Thieves, and they're like multi-billion-dollar organisations
Yeah.
that are like stupid amount of money.
Yeah. So when you get into it and you start to generate money, do you generate money like if you get likes on YouTube and you get enough and you start making money, or you actually get professional, sign a contract?
No, it's contract. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
yeah,
stuff.
I've had to have my parents sign off on my ones as well, cause until
Yeah.
I'm 18 and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So, wow, it's just massive, the whole picture. How many people do you reckon compete in the world? So, in
Oh.
Rocket League in particular?
What competitively.
Yeah, competitively.
Around the world, there's like just heaps of people who play the game, but just competitively, I mean, 15 years and up. In North America, there's heaps. Here, there's a lot as well, but compared to, I don't know the rough numbers, but there is a lot.
Yeah.
So
So it'd would you be playing against like 50,000 in Australia? Would there be that many, or not quite that many?
oh no, not competitively. No, maybe 50,000 plays in Australia, but competitively,
Yeah.
I mean, for me as well, like I don't play against a lot of them because
Yeah.
we're so high up. We usually get invited towards the final, like days of regionals.
Yeah.
It's like everyone else has to battle out against each
Yeah.
other to end up getting a chance to play against
So it's
us.
similar to like what will happen in, let's say, a tennis tournament where you've got qualifiers and you get through certain levels, then
You
the
got your
seeded
invited
and ranked players
teams.
come in higher levels.
Yeah, and they're invited. Yeah.
So so how often do you lose against just the numpty guys that are out there, the everyday guys that come out to have a go?
Well,
And
there's
do
some.
they get excited when they're beating you guys?
Well,
up
there's
or
some.
something?
For me as a player, my teams that I've been on, I rarely do that. Like I lose to the top teams, or I lose to teams that are contending majors. That's about it.
Yeah.
There is one other team in our region that do tend to struggle against lower teams as well, and that's just them as a team as well. But I don't know. There is always, like, when I first started, I came out with my friends when we were 15, and we beat the previous team that went to Worlds, and then we beat the best team, and the second best team in the region has got top two, and this was our first event ever.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, hold on, who are these guys? So there can always be like some players that just come out nowhere, turn 15, and they're just like really good, but
Yeah.
there hasn't been that in a while here at least.
Yeah, so you get noticed quickly when you're getting good results and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, how often are you competing with these games? Every day? Like, obviously, times you've got one coming up later this afternoon, so that would be because you've got to match times where they're playing in North America and Europe, right? So they try to pick the most neutral times they can.
Well, ours used to all kick off at 5 p.m, right? Just
Yeah.
for our sake, but for broadcast reasons, they moved ours to starting at like 11 a.m. when we are competing for North American viewership.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think North America, everywhere around the world starts theirs at 5 p.m. as well, because it's usually alright. Europe to NA is not terrible time-wise. Just here to North America is terrible.
Yeah.
Especially for a 5 p.m. That's like 4 a.m. their
Yeah,
time.
15 hours or something.
Yeah.
Like that,
So that's why they moved ours to 11 so they can watch, which is kind of rough on us, but
yeah. So, so you're still going to school at the moment?
I'm not, no.
Not going to school, so you go and have a chat with those teachers. Go, hey, know how you tell people they're not going to make it? Well, guess what? It's not all right.
I'm not a very big advocate for just drop school for doing this. I feel like when you have an opportunity and you have
Take when it's there.
and you've sort of made it to that point, if you're a person where you've like, okay, I'm going to do this, I know I'm going to do this, it's 110%. There's
Yeah.
nothing else I'm thinking about. You
Yeah.
go for it, but it's not just like, oh, I don't like school and I like games, so I'm just going to play this and not do any school. It's kind of just like,
Yeah.
hey, I was making money going international. There's a bit of a difference there in my eyes, at least.
Yeah, 100%. So do you think that playing soccer for years and that stuff helped you as well to have a better handle on the game as well?
And that was mainly just like the passion, because I loved football
Yeah.
growing up and stuff, and then literally just like seeing the idea of soccer, but it's like a unique way with Karsh got me into it, and I just played it so much, and once that kicked off, it was sort of just like, okay, it's just this.
Yeah. So how did you find out about the Rocket League when you first started out anyway? Did you just come across it when you're doing different gaming stuff? Or?
Well, I started playing on the PS4, and I was just playing, like, I think Fortnite just came out with my mates, and I was playing with them, and they were just like, oh, like, you should get Rocket League, and I saw some YouTube videos on it, and I was just like, oh, it looks pretty cool, and I got it. God, I was terrible when I first got it, but yeah, just putting a lot of time into that, and then I was just like, okay, now I'm getting good, and this game's really fun, so.
Yeah. So do you put clips up onto YouTube and that of what you do as well when you're playing the games and everything? You put them up for people as subscribers and that can follow you and track what you're doing? Or?
I've started doing TikTok, like,
Yeah.
just for shots and stuff, but yeah, I definitely need to do a bit more of that, I'd say, to help grow my brand, I'd say.
Yeah. So will that help build your brand if you branch out a bit more and look at that? Will that help you overall internationally from a financial point of view and that if you want to go far and further?
Yeah, because there's always, the bigger your brand is you bring to an org, 'cause an org's obviously going to look at, ideally in a pro team, they want results, right? But it's also in your contract, you've got your incentives and stuff, and it's like if you bring a bigger fan base to an org, and you make content, and you're under that org, and you're going to be, you know, what do you call it, like showcasing their stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be, in your rights, request a bit more money when you're doing this as like an incentive. So it would help in that regard. So.
Yeah. So, are you looking for sponsors and that sort of stuff? If more people want to get tied in with you, so you could be like a brand promoter or anything like that. So.
Oh, always, yeah.
That sort of
That's
stuff?
why Ground Zero have got a couple
Yeah.
double sponsors. They've got like Logitech and some of the big gaming ones as well. So.
Yeah. So Logitech flick you new computer gear every once in a
Yeah,
while.
I just got a new monitor recently from them as well.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. So what do you need? So when you used to play games back in the day, it was joystick based and all this sort of stuff. So what's a gaming console look like now? You got set up?
So I just have a PC, a personal computer, and I just plug a controller into it, and I just have a really good monitor, and that's what I really need to be able to compete.
Yeah. So how often? So what sort of RAM? Obviously you're running top RAM, so you got high speed, so it's not buffering and
Yeah.
going all dodgy.
Yeah.
I've seen the internet cables got running up to your room and that sort of stuff. So that's convenient. What speed you're running the internet?
Internet, I think we're at like 950 megabytes download.
Yeah.
And it's like 50 upload, just like fibre to the premises. That's like 'cause we used to have really bad internet.
Yeah.
But as for my PC specs wise, I think I've got a Ryzen 7 CPU, a 3070 Ti graphics card, and like 32 gigabytes of RAM and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty massive. So when you go to international events, what was it like the first time you went to an international event? Did anyone know who you were straight away, or?
Surprisingly, yeah. When I went to my first LAN event, I was very surprised. I was like, okay, this will be fun. Just go to, see all the people I've looked up to for years and stuff. And then after I was done competing, like going trying to get lunch, all these people trying to get photos and stuff, like they know who I am, and I'm like, well, I've never been to one of these people lands, and they already know who I am. It was pretty cool, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
So you've got role models, you've got people who look up to you and that sort of stuff as well. So what would you say to any of the young people who want to get into this sort of gaming altogether? Because there's a lot of different gaming you can go into, not just the Rocket League. It's massive. So FIFA as well, everything. So the sky's the limit with this stuff at the moment.
My advice would be it's not an easy thing. It comes down to like a 50, like a 50-50 of like how you are mentality wise. Like, do you like create a good environment? Are you passionate? Are you dedicated? Are you motivated? And then also slightly, are you talented enough to be able to do it? And just gameplay wise, do you put enough effort in and play enough to be able to actually reach the top as well? Because there's like reaching the top or like the cusp of the top, and then to break into that top, you still need to have all of the mental things as well. So it's not easy.
And the work ethic to stay up there, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
'Cause you've got lots of loads. I imagine millions of new people coming through all the time that could easily drop you down the table. So is there like full season and off seasons as well, and during like the off season outside of normal time when you're gaming?
We're about to go to Boston, which is the last major, and then there's the World Championship, and after that it's like a 6 month off season before the next season starts, before the next split. So yeah, it's a very long off season. That's usually when what we talked about before with the transfers. That's when everything starts going like skits crazy. Yeah. So it's hard to track. So it will be interesting.
Yeah. So how do you follow all of that? So what's going on with all the transfers and different people changing teams and organisations and stuff like that?
Well, at the end of the season, usually contracts last for a season with orgs if you're signing with an org. So then usually it's just free roam for everyone, and then when there's a new season starting up, everyone like gets with their orgs and stuff like that, and finds who they want to represent and all that.
So yeah, it is very different as well. Wow, just trying to get my head around, because I know how big it is. I know some people that they're alright at FIFA, and like I said, no guys throw a lot of their own money into being competitive, and it's pretty big, the whole setup. So is there anyone you like to give a shout out to at the end? Anyone you haven't thought of, or anybody you'd like to thank for supporting you along the way?
Shout out to Ground Zero again, Jai, Bo, my parents, Shout out to my teammates, my past teammates, everyone.
Do you reckon your mum likes going overseas with you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot.
Pretty good thing.
Yeah, can't wait till I'm 18.
Yeah. She make you wear t-shirts to say I'm with her with the little hand arrow pointing at her and stuff like that. So.
No, it's just like when I'm walking through, she's literally just grabbing me with her arms, like, yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah, there you go. So, where would you like to go from here? So, like you're 17 now. So, what would you like your future to look like kicking on in the next couple of years, and then like 10 years from that?
I'd say for me, I turn 18 just before the next season, so I'd hope another year of competing here, and then ideally when I turn 19, I've impressed enough people that I'll end up being able to move to NA with the right contract, with the right people that I'd be happy with, compete there and grow a brand that's big enough there that when I am, sort of my reaction times and just not being able to keep up starts to fade, I can have like, a content creation sort of career or work for an org and stay sort of in the scene like that.
Yeah, there you go. It's pretty good goal to have, to be able to stay, around, train, get involved with training and mentoring and that sort of stuff with young people coming through as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fascinating. I really enjoyed it. Lachie, appreciate your time today. All the best for the World Championships coming up when you go to them, and hope to keep on track on what you're doing in the near future, and even rolling on, see where you go with your career.
Oh, well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no, it's very good. So everyone, you'll be able to catch this on Duckman TV on YouTube later on. It's also going to go up on Pulse FM as well later, and Weekend Warriors podcast. So haven't ever had any professional gamers, so it's pretty good to have a chat to a young guy on the rise now. So keep on having a look at this and check out what's your little drop, what's your name, one we can catch, your little call sign stuff. Anyone wants to watch you, and anyone how they want to follow you, Lachie.
If you want to find me on Twitter, it's Super Lachie _, and then on TikTok it's Super Lachie as well.
Yep, there you go. Thanks a lot there. Keep on ducking everyone, and I'll chat to you all again